Well, if you would open your Bibles, Nehemiah chapter 1. Nehemiah chapter 1. The first 4 verses of this particular chapter. Nehemiah chapter 1. Notice, hear the word of the Lord. The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. It came to pass in the month of Chislev, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan, the citadel, that Hanani, one of my brethren, came with me with men from Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said to me, the survivors who are left from the captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned within, burned with fire. So it was that when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept and mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. And this is the Passionate Life Part 3. The Passionate Life Part 3. Isn't it amazing that Nehemiah, the moment that he heard of the condition of the people of Israel and the walls of Jerusalem, that something in him was burdened. He was impassioned by learning the fate of what had happened. Have you ever learned news and then it made you feel a particular way? This is where Nehemiah was. He was broken. He was broken. When he said when he heard these words, he sat down and wept. Sat down and wept and mourned for many days. Passionate people cry. Passionate people laugh. And it's interesting that when you are a passionate person, you have high highs, but you have low lows. It can take you the full gamut of emotions, where you are celebrating here and rejoicing, laughing, and then on this end, you are deeply burdened, wounded, troubled in your spirit. And this is where Nehemiah was. He was a passionate man, but moved to tears, and he wept and mourned for many days, and he was fasting and praying before God. And when you get passionate about something, God will begin to do something in your life. It's interesting how God can and will use pain to change you. You do realize and remember that passion is pain. Passion is pain. If you're passionate about something, it's because it creates pain. When you're passionate about music, it pains you when people don't do it right. If you're passionate about dancing, it pains you when people don't do it right. If you're passionate about cooking, it pains you when somebody messes up the food. See, whatever you're passionate about, it pains you to see other people mess it up. So we have to always keep ourselves attuned to where the passion is connected. That passion is ultimately connected to a pain somewhere in life. Whenever you see passionate people, they've been hurt by something. If they're passionate about helping others, it's because they've been without. They've been destitute, and the very pain, they are familiar with that pain. When you become passionate about helping other abused people, it's oftentimes because that person has been abused in some way. And you felt that pain, you know what that feels like, and it drives you to becoming a very passionate person. I love something that Nelson Mandela said. He said that there is no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Don't settle for less than what you're capable of living. Just don't settle for what you're capable of living, because there's no passion to be found whenever you settle for a life that is less than the one that you're capable of living. And may I say this to you, that your passion should always bring you fulfillment. When you're really a passionate person, you become fulfilled by your very passion. Passion is a fulfilling thing in your life. You don't get any fulfillment in life if you don't have any passion. And also, your passion will always drive you to serve other people. It'll drive you to serve others. Passionate people serve others. Nehemiah here, he was passionate about Jerusalem, not for his own sake. It was about others. He wanted to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, not for himself, but for his people. He became passionate about serving other people. You know, nobody's going to be passionate about just helping you if everything has got to be about you. You have to have it to where you include other people. You become passionate about life when your life serves a purpose that touches the lives of other individuals. That's what real passion is about. Passion always draws you into the lives of other people. Now, if you're in a situation where you still haven't located your passion, I've got a few questions for you to answer that will help you to zone in and locate it a little better. Here's one. What do you love to do? What do you love to do? It'll direct you to your passion. What is it that you love to do? Love to do. Not just like to do. What is it that you love to do? And then ask yourself this question. What is it, what in the world can you be the best at? What in the world can you be the best at? What is your one thing? Your one thing. I mean, the one thing that you really, really do well. The one thing. Your dominant gift. That one thing. What excites you or gets you charged up? See, we see what got Nehemiah charged up. It was when there was stuff that had happened to his hometown. And the walls, the condition of the city, not only of the infrastructure, but also the people. He was burdened over both. What excites you or gets you charged up? What would you die for and what would you live for? You answer some of these questions and it'll begin to point you into the direction of your passion. What do people compliment you on? What do people compliment you on? Because sometimes you can't see it, but other people will see it in you and then they'll compliment it. They'll compliment you on it. And that'll help to point you to your passion. What do people compliment you on? And what are you doing right now that you could be extraordinary at if you really focused? What are you doing right now that you could be extraordinary at if you really focused? And then ask yourself this question. What do you hate? And what do you love? Because sometimes your passion is connected to something that you hate. And other times it's connected to something that you love. Because generally what you love or what you hate is what you should be doing something about. Let me say that again. What you love or what you hate is generally what you should be doing something about. Oftentimes the very thing that frustrates you is the thing that you were born to solve. If it just really just irks you, if it irks you. You know, when you find some people in this world that are very passionate about organization and systems and structure. And it pains them when they come into something that is chaotic. It's like, oh my God, how do you people live like this? How do you operate? How do you run your house like this? How do you live like this every day? Why don't you organize it? And they're just coming to your place and start organizing. Because it vexes them. It disturbs them. They are passionate about the organization of it because they were born for organization. So chaos stirs them. Chaos stirs their passion because it creates pain for them to see things in disorder and disarray, and they know a better way. So it frustrates them. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It frustrates them and they want to bring a solution to it. So oftentimes the very thing that frustrates you is also the thing that you are born to solve. So this is why it is pain. It connects you to your passion. Bernard Bayer said that if you want to know where your heart is, look where your mind goes when it wanders. If you want to know where your heart is, look where your mind goes when it wanders. And may I say this to you, passion is anger and love mixed together. Passion is anger and love mixed together. You have passion for your children because your children have the ability to anger you. At the same time, you love them. You know, people's spouses do that. They feel like I can't live with them, can't live without them. Anger and love mixed together. But you see, to be effective, passion has to be more than just emotion, because feelings are momentary. You know, feelings are fickle, they change. Emotion comes and goes, fluctuating with the circumstances, but passion combined with persistent, it keeps pushing through. It'll just keep pushing through until it creates fuel for opportunity. It keeps pushing. Passion comes as you're working toward your goal or your dream. Passion comes as you're working toward it. I didn't say when you get it. As you're working toward it, a goal or dream. Passion doesn't come from obtaining the perfect job from heaven, but it grows as you get better at your current job. Passion grows as you get better at your current job. Let me say this to you. I'd write this down if I were you. Habit is more powerful than desire. Habit, it is more powerful than desire. If you got a passion, you must build daily habits to support it, because habit is more powerful than desire. Habit is more powerful than desire. You know people that desire to lose weight, but they don't have the habits to lose? It's just a principle of life. Habit is more powerful than desire. It is more powerful. Habit is more powerful than desire. So you have to build the habit that supports the very desires that you have in your life. So I say this to you, don't quit your day job just yet. I know some people get excited, you know, they hear a message and, you know, they feel somebody, they go to a seminar, you know, about living your own destiny and becoming financially independent and all this kind of stuff, and then you walk out and quit your job. Life is a process. You don't just make those huge things. And then, you know what they'll do? They'll tell you about somebody else who walked off their job, quit their job, and then started doing what they love, and then all of a sudden their life just boomed. They are the exception, not the rule. And then you quit your job, and now you got to bomb from all your relatives and your friends. You're taking out a second mortgage on the house, and you know, you're stressed out because you don't know when now you're going to find another job, and you know, you thought that it was going to be so easy. Listen, it takes time to build a business. It takes time to live your dream, to make this stuff come. You know, I'm a pragmatist. You know, I believe in faith and works. You don't just go with faith and don't have any works with it that's off balance and then gets you out in a jam, and now you all jacked up and messed up and stressed out, and now you want to blame God because you claim that you were walking by faith. But remember, faith without works is, and dead faith doesn't work. It does not work. So don't quit your day job just yet. I want to share something with you just to help support that so you understand that and see it in a different way. Many people feel that they are in a rut with work, and they're constantly looking to change jobs, just constantly looking. But you see, you know what a rut is? A rut is nothing more than the absence of focus and passion. It is the lack or the absence of focus and passion on a job. If you don't have any passion on your job, you're in a rut. If you don't have any focus, you're in a rut. So changing jobs is not always the answer. There's so many people that get frustrated with their career, they get frustrated with their boss, and then they hop from job to job when the answer and the opportunity was right in front of them if they had just changed their perspective. You have to change your perspective where you are. Even if it's not your dream job, you have to think about what your current job does for you, even if it's not ideal and if it's not paying you the kind of money that you really want to make and you can do the kinds of things. Even if that is not the case, at least your job, your current job, has you in motion. At least it has you in motion. And let me just tell you this, if you've got a job, it's easier to get another job than if you don't have one at all. Trust me on that. You have to think about it. Even if you got a job, even if it's not your ideal job, it is providing you with some kind of an income. And it is allowing you to learn something and to sharpen your skills and to meet people, develop relationships. It is still allowing you to be able to plan and to dream and to express your ideas, even if you just go to work and be dreaming about what you want to do. It still is providing you with an opportunity to do something that would be impossible without the cooperation and the structure of employment. So you have to be able to realize that your passion doesn't just come alive once you get an ideal situation. You can be in a situation that's not ideal, and the thing that keeps you from getting frustrated is the passion that you have on the inside that's leading you to another place. And we often get blinded by our immediate needs, and then we lose focus on the long term because we become blinded by the immediate need. The immediate need. And it is where you begin to sacrifice the ultimate on the altar of the immediate. It's a dangerous thing. I want you to consider, everybody is familiar with, McDonald's that sells hamburgers. It's an interesting corporation. It was founded a number of years ago by Maurice and Richard McDonald. They opened a hamburger joint, their first one in Bernardino, California, back in 1940. And it was their ambition to make $1 million by the time that they were 50 years old. And both of them found themselves working because I want you to understand, hamburgers was not their passion. They were trying to be actors. They went to Hollywood and they got a little work, but they couldn't find enough work to really make things work for them. So, when you're trying to make your dream, you want to be a star, and they wanted to be a star, and it just didn't work for them. They made a little money, but it wasn't enough to live on. And they finally opened up a hot dog stand, and eventually the venture that became McDonald's in 1940. Their first drive-in restaurant was a dusty little outpost about 50 miles east of Los Angeles. And there were certain things that they did, not necessarily by design, but just trying to fit the culture. Like they started to avoid the problem of teenagers coming in and stealing plates and cutlery. They used paper wrappers and plastic. That's why they did that, so teenagers wouldn't walk off with their stuff. Isn't that amazing? They served hamburgers at a low price, had reliable quality and a limited menu, and rapid service, and families loved it. They loved it. In 1948, they closed the restaurant for 3 months to revamp it. And when they reopened 3 months later, they had a mechanized kitchen, and they had a streamlined menu, and then they had the famous golden arches. And they only offered hamburgers, cheeseburgers, drinks, chips, and a slice of pie. That was all on the menu. By 1954, they expanded to 8 restaurants and several franchises. And it was at that time that they met Ray Kroc, a Chicago milkshake salesman who was trying to find customers who were interested in churning out 40 milkshakes at a time. And Ray Kroc, who was 52 years old at the time, he looked at the brothers, saw what they were doing, and he made them an offer. And he offered to open up McDonald's stores, and that he would give them 5% of all of the gross sales just to use their name and their idea. 5% of the gross sales. By 1960, Ray Kroc had launched 200 restaurants around the United States. And a year later, Ray Kroc paid those 2 McDonald's brothers $3 million to buy out their share of the business. And they were bought out because, their goal, they wanted $1 billion by the time they were 50. And so this man offered you 3 times what you were originally wanting? Shoot, that was a blessing. That was a blessing to them. He bought them out for $3 million. By 1965, Ray Kroc founded the McDonald's Corporation. And today, they've got more than 32,000 McDonald's outlets in over 120 countries around the world, serving 58 million customers a day. And they sold out for $3 million. Well, you see, originally those McDonald's brothers, their passion was for acting. And then the hamburger shop was just there to support what they really wanted to do. Isn't that amazing? But as their hamburger shop became more and more successful, their passion actually began to shift from acting to handling the business, building the business with that ambition of cracking $1 million before the age of 50. And then Ray Kroc, who bought the business, he wasn't really into selling milkshake machines or hamburgers. His passion, you know what his passion was? Property, real estate. He was interested in real estate. And McDonald's restaurant became the tool to create the cash flow to hold and to own property. And today in America, McDonald's makes more money on its real estate than it does from its burger chains. And they own prime land all over the world, being one of the largest landowners on the planet. And so what you have in your hand now, your skills, your gift, your job, your talents, will help you to achieve your dream. It may not always look like it, but God has a way that you may not understand. You may not understand it. You might think that you're supposed to be in acting, and God might have another way to bless you, and you start off doing something else that's going to support it. We were in Hawaii, and I was speaking for a leadership conference in Hawaii. A dear lady, her husband was a social worker and a counselor. He had a tremendous heart for just wanting to help people. And his wife, a Mennonite woman, she went out and she took an old recipe from her grandmama about making pretzels, and she started a pretzel business to help make money and support the family so that her husband could counsel full time, because you know that's sort of almost like charity work. She did that business just not because she was passionate about it, but just to supplement the income for the household so that her husband could do what was his passion. That business today is Auntie Anne's Pretzels. And they're in malls all over the country. And she was just doing it as a sidekick just to earn a little extra money. You don't know how God, that's why I said don't despise the stuff that you don't even think anything. She was almost embarrassed over her grandmama's recipe. And you don't know what you'll have. God will use something that he has given to you to bless you, and it'll lead you down some paths that you may not even be aware of. I mean, God's an awesome God. Don't ever put God in a box, because he's bigger than you can imagine. He's able to do exceedingly, abundantly, and above that which you're able to even ask or sometimes think. You know, God can bless you to such a level that if you would take your mind back and say, you know what, when I was a little boy, a little girl at 5 years old, I never in a million years would have dreamed that I would be in this position, that I would be a homeowner, or that I'd have a car, that I'd do this, that I'd be able to finish school or put children through school. You'll be surprised at what God can do in your life. He'll do things that'll blow your mind. He really will. He really will if you'll just trust him, if you will just trust him. So don't give up what's in your hand just for the desire of your heart. You know, God has a way. He has a way. He has a way of working things out. Someone said, above all, be true to yourself. And if you cannot put your heart in it, then take yourself out of it. Be true to yourself. And if you can't put your heart in it, take yourself out of it. Take yourself out of it. But let me just say this, that passion can also be sparked by something that gets on your nerves or something that you hate. Because injustice has been a great activator for many successful people throughout history. Just think about organizations like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. Guess what was the motivation behind that, the passion behind that? It's because a mother lost a child to a drunk driver. And then she found another mother who had lost a child through drunk drivers. And so their passion of their pain created an organization and moved them. So God can move some things into your life, you know, through the pain that you will have endured. And when others that you care about are going through difficulty or have suffered a wrong, you often experience compassion for them. You see, compassion combines com, which means with, and passion, which means suffer. So when you put it all together, compassion means to suffer with another. That's what it means. Compassion. Whenever you have compassion for somebody, you suffer with them. You suffer with them. Your heart breaks because you really identify with how they feel. Compassion is suffering with another.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living.